to Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. I'm your host, Chamber CEO Rachel Beld, and it's my privilege to interview the movers, shakers, and change makers impacting our amazing Vista community and beyond. Today, I'm joined by Lauren Fehlhaber. From a young age, Lauren had a talent for creating visually appealing environments. In 2019, she co-founded the Film Hub, a unique co-working space and video production studio that fosters a community of creative professionals. With her vibrant personality and dedication, Lauren successfully launched this innovative concept. Before starting the Film Hub, she produced and designed sets for TV commercials and advertising agencies and served as a producer and project manager for corporate and indie film shoots. Lauren studied interior design, space planning, and drafting, aspiring to design a hotel that enhances experience through innovative design, a vision she fulfilled at the Film Hub. A devoted mother of three, Lauren's passion for serving others through design remains her driving purpose. Welcome, Lauren. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yes. Well, you do own the building.
Yes.
So technically, thank you for having me in your building.
Yes.
So we're here at the Film Hub. We record the Velocity podcast here at the Film Hub. So for people who don't know, what is the Film Hub?
The Film Hub is a very unique co-working space, not like anything else that you've seen or been in. Think content creators' playground, but we designed it to be a co-working space, an event space, and a production space to have all of your creativity being able to thrive out of this location. So a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs have to create so much marketing content these days. I really saw the need of wanting to make a space where they can create that, from podcast studios to photo studios to large sound stages. They can make their commercials, advertisement materials right here in their own facility. But along with having conference rooms to meet with their clients and event space to be able to do corporate and special events here as well, you really have everything you need. But the best part is the community. We get to be around every day with amazing business owners and employees of companies, and to be able to walk with them in everyday life, like the Vista Chamber of Commerce. That's the best part of it.
Yeah, that's great. So how did the idea for the Film Hub, how did you think of it?
Yeah, so it was in a time in my life where I was thriving for community and something different. And, this was almost 7 years ago now.
Wow.
And co-working space wasn't, it was out there, but it was just getting popular at the time. And I wasn't aware of co-working spaces. So during these quiet times of changes in my life, I was like, I really want to do something different. And I was in the creative production field already. And doing a lot of art directions with sets. So I was like, it would be amazing to be able to create a space where we have all of these content creation spots with these backgrounds pre-designed to make it easy to come in and shoot. But also my thrive and need for community at that time in my life, I was like, I would love to have this facility where everyone can just work and create and have that synergy and be able to bounce ideas off each other and come up with innovative ideas. And what really drove that is I worked with my father for 10 years prior in the video production industry, and he wanted to create a lot of films. So I wanted to make him a space also to create his film content that he wanted to produce as well. So that was the initial kind of heart behind it. So we went for it, and I feel like in that time, it was just kind of downloaded to me, these ideas, and I was like, oh, we can do this, and we can have this aspect. And I presented the idea to him, and he's like, yeah, I'm on board. Let's do it. And then through that process, when I started beginning and we started looking for buildings, I learned about co-working space, and I was like, what? This kind of concept already has begun to get popular. So kind of inspected that model a little bit more and dived in depth to that, and added to it and changed it and made it very unique.
Wow. So why Vista? Why did you choose this building in this space?
Yeah, so there is a lot of content that is produced in North County. Some of the biggest headquarters for business is right here in Carlsbad. So we were looking for a space close to that proximity. And we already had a big clientele, and I've been working in the industry for a while. So I knew the clientele was here on the production side. So I live in Vista. It's my hometown. I raised my kids here and wanted to be able to create something in the artistic town of Vista, which I felt like with the moonlight and all of the other aspects that they bring in, this would just add to the city. So that's why I really wanted to do it in Vista, and it's still close proximity for a lot of popular film locations and companies that come down as well.
Yeah. Well, it's a great location, especially for me. I live 3 minutes away, so the commute is perfection.
Yes.
So I appreciate that. So tell me a little bit about some of the folks here at the Film Hub. You don't have to name them specifically, but what types of people are here at the Film Hub?
Yeah, we have a mix. We have non-creatives and creatives. And a lot of the businesses come from, we have accountants, we have marketing companies, video production companies, we have influencers, and then people that do finances. It's all over the board. And I believe that it attracts both non-creatives and creatives because underneath everyone has that desire to have this creative side in them, no matter what they do. And the Film Hub really inspires and brings that out of people where they want to start becoming creative in some way. And we've seen business owners get together to create projects and create that synergy just from being in this facility. And they've even gone into business together on different endeavors, like this podcast network that produces a lot of the shows here. They met at the Film Hub and started working together, and some of them were not in a creative field before. So that's the exciting thing to see is the broad spectrum of business owners and small companies being able to do new things.
Yeah. Has the Film Hub, has it lived up to your expectations?
I think it surpassed it in regards to the community.
Mm-hmm.
You have a vision for something to happen. Sometimes that always doesn't happen, and you have to pivot and change things while you figure it out. But the community that I imagined was always going to be a very supportive community. And it's surpassed that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten through big things with just having our community here, and to have people raise you up and encourage you to do big things, but then also support you when they know that you're going through hard times. You don't get that everywhere. So
Right.
It has surpassed it for sure.
Yeah, this is a really special place. I agree. So I'm curious. So, a lot of folks listening to the Velocity podcast, they are business owners or they're entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. And I think it's really valuable for people to learn from mistakes. Do you have any mistakes or lessons learned that you'd be willing to share?
So many.
Like, don't do this or something
Yes.
like that.
Yes, so many. And it starts with, if you choose to go into business with family, you always make sure that you have all expectations done up front. So that was a big lesson for me to learn, and have rules and paperwork done and all of those things to avoid any conflict in the future.
Sure.
And another thing is, even during hard things, like when COVID hit, we opened in 2019 and then COVID hit
It was like
months
December 9th of 2019, right? Yeah.
And then and it's really hard to not go into a realm of like, wow, a negativity of this might fail. But then you're putting your mindset into the circumstances and not looking beyond the circumstances. And I think that was a hard lesson to, it looks bad. I don't know how I'm going to get through this, but you stay positive. You don't let that defeat come into your mindset, and you have to keep believing into the one reason why it will succeed and it will work, and keep moving forward with that believing and positivity. Drove us out of that scenario. And you had to pivot. You had to everything that I kind of put out and planned had to be flipped upside down and figured out in a new way during that time. Especially after only a few months of starting. And then when it ended, you had to flip it again and, okay, let's get back to what I originally wanted to really envision this space for. So a lot of changes, and to not get defeated by those changes, it just takes, a lot of resilience, perseverance, which all business owners will tell you it's a lot. But the one thing that I had to work on for my personal self is because if you're going to be a leader and you have to lead employees and, people, you have to make sure you're okay. So it was also working on myself personally, like, where am I breaking? Where do I need to become unoffendable? Where can I be a leader in a positive way? And really comes down to, as a woman in business, protecting my heart, like guarding my heart, but also leading with love and care, which I feel like is a very unique way to lead. As a woman, that we have a little bit more opportunity to do, because I didn't want to be a woman in business that got hard and cold, and that's not something, and you can get that way really fast, especially if you're not unoffendable. So that was something that I had to develop in myself to keep that love and care that I wanted to keep showing up for in my business and to my staff, but then have the balance of being a good leader. So, and I learned all of these things by the mistakes that I made. You learn real fast. You're like, okay, I don't like how I did that with my staff. I want to be a better leader for them. And you fix and you change things and you find the problems, and there's endless amount of learning. You will never get to the point of where you're like, okay, I got it figured out. Then a new problem comes up and you're like, okay, how can I navigate and learn through that? So if you're not willing to learn and grow personally and in business as a leader for your business or your company, I wouldn't recommend getting in business, because that's the whole part of it. Yeah.
It's interesting you brought up, specifically being a woman in business. And I think that brings a whole different layer that sometimes isn't talked about. And I think a lot of women struggle with external acceptance, people pleasing, not wanting to disappoint others. So what are some ways that you've navigated some of those really hard feelings about wanting to please other people, and like you said, you want to take care of yourself so you can be a better leader? How did you navigate that? How do you flip from some of those personality traits that are so common in women?
Yes, I feel like you can't do it on your own. I've leaned on a lot of coaches that I've hired to help me through those things. I've leaned into going to therapy and working on those things.
Yes. Yay for therapy.
Yes, because I was a huge people pleaser and I wanted to help everyone. And one of my coaches at one point, he sat me down and he's like, okay, well, you can do that, but you're not going to have a business next year if you don't make these changes. And that's you're like, okay, I can't people please. I can't just give everything anyone, or I won't have anything to help anyone in the future. And really that starts with helping yourself and your own blockages and self-worth issues and things that you have to break in yourself as these weird belief systems that can't serve you anymore, that you have to let go of. And therapy was a huge, crucial transition for me, where I had to get past all those things. And also on, the health side too, just being physically, being able to handle things spiritually, and I started making sure I started doing things for myself again. Because when you get into business, you get bombarded and you stop taking care of yourself, especially as a mom too. I'm being pulled in a million directions all the time. So even getting back into taking care of myself physically, spiritually, and mentally makes makes me the best person that I need to be to run a business, to be a leader, to help my staff be the best.
Yeah. When you talk about your kids, what do you think your kids see when they see you as a businesswoman? What do you hope they see?
I hope they see encouragement that they can do big things when they get big, and that they're not afraid to do that. And hopefully they see challenges and how I've overcome them. Because they come with
everything.
With it.
Yeah, with everything.
And hopefully they see how I have had to take a step back and, get back into a loving, caring space when you start getting hard for protection.
Yeah.
And really that's where it comes from. People get hurt from protection. So letting go of all of those things, and hopefully they've perceived that and can be better adults for it. At least I hope. I hope I'm not screwing them up.
Yeah. No, I'm sure you're not.
Guilt for all.
I mean, parenting we do the best we can, and then it's kind of a crapshoot. But, somebody I really admire, Brene Brown, she talks about having strong backs and open hearts, being strong, but also having an open heart. I think that's exactly, the sentiment that you described. So tell me, what is the absolute best part of your work? What's the absolute best thing about it?
Getting to have deep communication and relationships with people, and meeting people in the community, meeting our members, getting to know them, and developing not surface level relationships, but really getting deep and friendships. Friendships. I think that's the biggest thing that's been a game changer for me.
I think it's really hard at different points in your life to develop deep, meaningful friendships with people. There are certain times where it's easier, like when you're in school or when you first start a brand new job and everybody's around the same age and you kind of bond. But when you're a mom, of a certain age, it's hard to make time to develop those deep friendships. And it's so important, especially for women, that we have a circle of people around us to lean on. And so I'm so thankful to have you in my circle as somebody that I trust and rely on. So I really appreciate that. Okay. So what's the very hardest part of your work?
The hardest part for me personally was becoming undefendable, because you get a lot of complaints when you do business, and
it's hard not to be defensive or to be overly apologetic. Like there's kind of those two, like either no, it's your problem, or I'm sorry. There's got to be some sort of balance in between, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to not tear yourself down when things go wrong, because things go wrong, especially when you're running a facility. I mean, things go wrong all the time, and facility issues happen, and you have to jump on it and figure it out, and people get upset sometimes, and you do the best you can, and that you do the best you can.
Wait, can you say that again?
Yeah. All you can do is do the best you can.
Because I think so many people, when you're running an organization or you're running a business or you're doing something, those mistakes just can eat away at you if you don't forgive yourself and tell yourself, I'm a human being. I'm allowed to make a mistake. And there might be ramifications, but we're going to be okay. And I'm going to learn a lesson. Like, what's the lesson here? So I think it's really important for people listening to know that every single human being on this planet makes mistakes, and you can let it eat you up, or you can let it go.
Yes.
And move on. Yes. And I'm saying that to myself as much as I'm saying it to anyone else, because I need that advice for myself too.
Well, and it's perfectionism.
Yeah, totally.
Like I struggle with that. And that was, now that I'm rethinking and talking through this, like I think that's the thing I had to break. That was the hardest.
Yeah.
Wanting to always be perfect and people please. Yeah. And that had to go. That didn't serve me anymore. And knowing at the end of the day, that's all we can do.
Well, and also I think perfectionism also can manifest itself in leadership of like micromanaging, not letting other people do things their way. Ultimately, if you have a list of 100 things you need to get done, as a leader, you're going to kill yourself if you have to do all 100 by yourself your own way. But what you need is a team of people around you that can can share the load and that you can trust to do it, even if it's not exactly the way that you would do it.
Yeah.
Does it get done? Did it get done in a way that makes sense and in a way that's appropriate? Cool.
Yeah.
Then move on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's where something I feel like we have such good staffs on our teams.
Yeah.
And we can just release and give it to them. And that's something we have to develop as leaders too, right?
Sure.
Is trusting that we can't lead them to dive into their, I have staff members that excel at so many things. And if I was always crippling them and saying, do it my way all the time, they can't grow and blossom into the best versions.
Well, they might have
themselves.
ideas that you never considered. And then you're like, that was the greatest thing ever.
Yes.
I can think of examples for that too at the chamber of just team members having ideas and running with it. So you have to be able to empower your team.
Yeah.
And also just so you don't have to do it all yourself because that's exhausting.
Yes.
And no one has time for that.
Yes. And and all my ideas aren't good ideas. And some of them are and some of them aren't. And
I think your ideas are good. You have good ideas.
But it's like I have a good staff that helps with those ideas.
Yeah.
So it's like some of those things have come out of the staff's minds. And I'm like, that's amazing. Let's do this. And I hope every business owner gets to see that in their staff, that they can help their people grow into such amazing human beings by allowing them to go in their lane and develop new things as well. Yeah. And I think they get a lot of fulfillment from that too.
Yeah. So here at the Film Hub, it's a membership-based organization. You can be a member here. You can come, bring your laptop, find a spot to work. You can have a dedicated desk. You can have a private office. You could book just for production, right? There's all these different models. If people want to know more, how do they find out?
Yes. So they can go to our website at thefilmhubinc.com or all of our social media handles at The Film Hub Inc. We're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, Facebook, all of the things. You can reach out and book a tour with us on our website. And if you want to be a member, we'd love to have you. If you don't want to be a member and you just want to book out, a production space or conference room on occasion, we're happy to serve that as well. And we'd love to come in for a tour. Yeah. Until you get here and see the space and walk in, you can't experience the synergy and the creative vibe until you do that. So I encourage anyone, just walk in. Even if you don't want to book a tour on our website, walk in. We're open 8:30 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Our staff is at the front, eager to help you and to make introductions for you as well. So
yeah. Well, and so another opportunity to check out the Film Hub is during the Vista Strawberry Festival. We have the film festival here at the Film Hub, and that's kind of an open house situation where people can come and check it out and experience some of the content that's created here and enjoy that. So that's another, and that's not till May, but there's lots of opportunities between now and then. But I do have to give a shout out to the film festival because you guys are really building something great with that.
Yeah. It's going to be really exciting and adding more workshops to that aspect and more film endeavors. So it'll keep growing every year.
Yeah. Is there anything we didn't talk about that you want to share? Anything on your heart that we didn't touch on?
Yeah, I think we covered everything. Just really encouraging anyone that's out there running a business to just do it from your heart and do it from a place of wanting to make a difference and wanting to make an impact and inspire. And when you have that heart behind anything that you do, I think you're definitely going to succeed.
I agree. Awesome. Well, before we wrap up the interview, I always ask all of my guests the same few rapid fire questions. So my question for you is, what is a book that everyone should read?
Selling from the Heart by Larry Lavin. I love that one.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to add it to my list. I'm not familiar with it, but definitely sounds, if you love it, I'm sure I'll love it too. Okay. And then Lauren, what's your jam? What's a song that you love?
having 3 children, I listen to a lot of music they want to. But when I think I need to really like regroup, it's Just Be Held by Casting Crowns.
Okay. Awesome. And then what inspires you, Lauren?
Waking up every day wanting to be the best mom for my kids.
Yeah. You have awesome kids.
They're pretty great.
Okay. And then lastly, give me a Vista business that you think deserves a shout out and tell me why.
Yeah, one of our members here, Gysio Bookkeeping, I did a consultation with her at the beginning of the year, and she just totally flipped the budget sheet that I've had tons of budget sheets, but she just put it in a different perspective for profit margins that I've never, I never could think of, but it was outside the box of my realm. And it really changed the way that I navigated the finances of my business. So
wow.
Yeah, having any kind of consultation with people that are better at avenues than we are is a game changer.
I think that's a great point. So many times business owners get into a specific business because they care about, like, you open a restaurant because you're a great chef, or you start a production space because you're into the film industry or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're an expert at the finances or the other pieces that are so important. So seek out resources. Yes, absolutely. Lauren, thank you for being my guest today. I've been wanting to have you on as a guest since we started the Velocity podcast. And so I really appreciate you sharing today and being here with me.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you as a friend and as a support system of my circle.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we can support each other in every way we can.
Me too. I'm ready for a glass of wine now, I think.
Yes. Let's hang out.
Okay, let's do it. Thank you to my guest, Lauren Fehlhaber of the Film Hub, and thank you for listening to Velocity. If you like what you heard, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and tell a friend. Help us move Vista forward with Velocity. The Vista Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit organization that serves as a catalyst for business growth. Find us online at vistachamber.org.